Good afternoon and welcome to the Committee on Housing's February 15th, 1 p.m. hearing. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will include the 1 p.m. Committee on Housing agenda. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Thursday, February 17th at 1 p.m. in room 225 and online, and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. For those participating remotely, all testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. At this time, I'd like to welcome committee members, Vice Chair Drew Kanuha and Senator Kurt Favela. I think Senator Sharon Moriwaki is also with us. Thank you for participating in today's hearing. Our first measure today is Senate Bill 2667 relating to affordable housing. It indefinitely extends the deadline for HHFDC to renegotiate an existing or issue a new ground lease for the Front Street Apartments affordable housing project before the corporation's requirement to initiate condemnation proceedings is triggered. We have two testifiers. Our first testifier is HHFDC.
Aloha and good afternoon, Chair Chang, members of the committee, Denise Seri Matsubara for HHFDC. We stand on our written testimony in strong support for this measure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And our second testifier is Alice L. Lee of the Maui County Council in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2667? Okay, if not, I do have a question for HHFDC. We've seen deadline extensions come before this committee now in multiple years, and every year we're assured that that's the last deadline extension we'll ever need. Can you explain why we need this bill for this indefinite deadline extension now?
Apparently we felt after the judge ruled on this particular project, then that would be the end of it, but the owner of the project has since filed an appeal.
Well, you know, this is an indefinite extension. So, I mean, how long do you think that this process will take to come to fruition?
I wish I could tell you, Senator. I don't know how long the judiciary system would take on this. And we did not think that they would file an appeal. So here we are, we're dealing with what we're handed.
Do you think that there should be some level of accountability, though, to the legislature? I mean, indefinite could be, 50 years from now.
So all we're trying to do, Senator, is put the state in the best possible position for negotiating the ground lease on this. Without it, the state may be forced to pay more. The state has already paid $15 million to acquire this property, for which the judge had ruled should remain affordable. But now the project owner is appealing that ruling.
Is there a point at which, the state would have more leverage if it were to walk away?
I'm not so sure how the area legislators would feel for that project in particular, but we could look at that. This measure is just simply to afford the state the best possible position.
Okay, what would you think about setting a different timeline, like maybe a longer deadline, like 5 years from now instead of 2 years from now?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Members, any further questions or discussion on Senate Bill 2667? Okay, if not, we'll move forward. The next bill is Senate Bill 2581 relating to affordable housing. It seeks to use lands within the state that are leased to the federal government or under federal government control that are to be returned to the state, including lands that have been used to house former military facilities for affordable housing. We have our first testifier, Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, in support.
Good afternoon, Senator and members of the committee. The Office of Planning stands on its written testimony supporting the intent of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second testifier is Partners in Care in support.
Mahalo, Chair Chang and members of the committee. Partners in Care stands in support of this bill and just wants to highlight that this is a common practice throughout the country, and we just want to make sure that the housing stock is maintained and used responsibly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2581? Okay, if not, we'll move forward to our next measure, unless there's any discussion or question about members. Okay, our next measure is Senate Bill 2255 relating to the mortgage interest deduction. It eliminates the mortgage interest deduction for second homes under Hawaii income tax law. It requires the Department of Taxation to calculate the savings and transfer an equivalent amount of income taxes to the Director of Finance for deposit into the Rental Housing Revolving Fund. Our first testifier is Department of Taxation with comments.
Yes, Chair, thank you. This is Jonathan White on behalf of the Director of Tax. The department will stand on its written testimony providing comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next testifier is Department of Budget and Finance with comments. Okay, followed by the Tax Foundation of Hawaii with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. This is Jade McMillan on behalf of Tom Yamachika and the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We have submitted written comments on this measure. We will stand on our written comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final registered testifier is Hawaii Realtors in opposition. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2255? Okay, if not, members, any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed to the next bill, which is Senate Bill 3107 relating to the Residential Landlord Tenant Code. This allows a landlord, when processing an application to rent residential property, to charge an application screening fee up to a maximum of $25 for the cost of requesting a tenant report or credit report for a potential tenant. It requires landlords to refund any unused amount of the application screening fee and, upon request, provide a receipt of the fee and a copy of any report obtained via the screening process to the applicant. We have several testifiers on this measure. The first is Governor's Coordinator on Homelessness and Support.
Hey, good afternoon, Chair Chang, Vice Chair and members. Scott Morishita, Governor's Coordinator on Homelessness and Chair of the Hawaii Interagency Council on Homelessness. This bill is one of a number of priorities adopted by the Hawaii Interagency Council on Homelessness to reduce upfront barriers to accessing rental housing. The lack of regulation for application screening fees is a key barrier because right now fees can be charged even if a tenant screening is not actually conducted and the tenant not actually seriously considered for the rental unit. I stand on my written testimony in support and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next testifier is DCCA Office of Consumer Protection and Support.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Levins from the Office of Consumer Protection. We stand on our written testimony and support.
Thank you. Our next testifier is Department of Human Services and Support, followed by Partners in Care in Support.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Partners in Care stands in support. We just want to highlight that we just want to make sure that people are, if they are charged a fee, it's at the time of consideration and not just a general fee for.
Okay, thank you. Our next testifier is Community Alliance Partners in Support.
Aloha, my name is Kristen Alice, and I'm testifying on behalf of Community Alliance Partners, the Coalition to End Homelessness on the Big Island. Also here on behalf of Hope Services Hawaii, a nonprofit homeless services provider. We are in strong support of this bill because it would help us to end homelessness, or at least get a little bit closer to that. And the reason for that is right now, with so many rentals being out of reach of the people that we serve and our community members, people are trying to find any housing that they can get into, a safe, stable housing. But with these application fees that are out of control, sometimes we see them, up $40, $50, $60, and sometimes they want to charge each adult in the household. That's a lot of money. And especially for somebody who needs a Section 8 voucher, who's just coming out of shelter or off the street, or just, like most of us, can't afford the cost of living here because the wages have not kept up with the housing prices. So we strongly support this measure, and ask you to please pass it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next testifiers, so that brings us to the end of the registered oral testifiers. The next testifiers are Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center in support, EAH Housing with comments, Catholic Charities Hawaii in support, Hawaii Realtors in opposition, Unite Here Local 5 in opposition, Richard Sullivan in support, David Chi with comments, and Arjuna in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 3107?
Senator, I'm here with Richard Sullivan, and he'd like to testify.
Sure.
Are we ready? Senator, I have to read this because I've only got 2 minutes. My name is Richard Sullivan. I live at the Waiakea Villas in Hilo. The provisions of SB 3107, I feel, do not go far enough. In return for collecting fees from me as a paying applicant, fees that are currently just disappearing into a black hole, landlords must be required to respond to us in kind so as not to leave us hanging, as well as revealing the reason why we are rejected so we can fix the problem. Additionally, very, very crucially, I would warn this body about the advent of third-party data mining and information collecting websites that are currently enticing Hawaii landlords with the offer of free application processing. These third-party websites have authored online application forms specifically designed to collect highly personal and financially sensitive data, primarily to be misused by them in any way they see fit in the future. Hawaii landlords are being utilized as unwitting accomplices, thereby setting applicants up, like me, up for identity theft and worse in the future. Hawaii landlords must be forbidden from participating in this diabolical online scheme of third-party predation. One application on kce.managebuilding.com demands the applicant's birth certificate. There is no reason on earth why a landlord should have access to something so private and guarded, but certainly a birth certificate would prove a gold mine for these third-party data mining predators. Forbidding Hawaii landlords from utilizing this third-party thievery is essential to protecting the privacy of all kama'aina, including yourselves and members of your own ohana. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 3107? Okay, if not, any discussion, members, or questions? Okay, that brings us to the final bill on our agenda today, which is Senate Bill 2149 relating to the Rental Housing Revolving Fund. This allows HHFDC greater flexibility to use the funds in the Rental Housing Revolving Fund for necessary expenses in administering the corporation's housing finance programs. We only have one testifier, and that is Department of Budget and Finance with comments. Okay, is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2149? Okay, if not, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Members, we'll go into recess and then we'll come back for decision making. All right, welcome back. Committee on Housing is now back from recess and we'll be conducting decision-making on the 1 p.m. agenda today. Our first measure is Senate Bill 2667 relating to affordable housing. This is the Front Street Apartments bill. Having conferred, the committee is familiar with this issue because this bill or some version of deadline extension has come before us multiple times over the years now, and the committee is concerned about the slow progress in the negotiations. And so in the committee report, we will be noting that we would like an update on the status of the situation. But for the bill itself, the chair will be recommending that we pass it with amendments. And instead of a indefinite extension, that the extension for the deadline would be 5 years to balance the need for accountability with the need to give the agency greater flexibility in negotiating the terms of this agreement. So again, the recommendation for Senate Bill 2667 will be to pass with amendments to extend the deadline for 5 years. The chair votes aye. Vice Chair?
Aye. I vote aye. Senator Moriwaki?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Favela?
Aye.
Chair, 5 ayes. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Kanuha. Our next measure is Senate Bill 2581 relating to affordable housing. Chair's recommendation will be to pass this one unamended. So for SB 2581, pass unamended, chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation for SB 2581 is to pass unamended. Of the 5 members present, any with reservations? Any in opposition? Chair, 5 ayes. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Our next measure is Senate Bill 2255 relating to the mortgage interest deduction. The chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments and to take the DOE tax amendment to not use specific taxpayer information to direct revenues to any specific funds. So these savings will simply revert back to the general fund instead of the rental housing revolving fund. Okay, any discussion or questions, members? Okay, if not, for SB 2255, chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation for SB 2255 is to pass with amendments. Of the 5 members present, any with reservations, any in opposition? Chair, 5 ayes. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. For Senate Bill 3107 relating to the residential landlord tenant code, the chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments. We have technical amendments. And just wanted to note Catholic Charities amendment that the landlord may charge the application screening fee at the time that they screen the application didn't seem to make full sense, because I think it's reasonable to collect the fee at the same time that you collect the application. And moreover, the fees that are not used to conduct the personal reference check will be refunded to the applicant. So that should provide the consumer protection for the potential tenants. So again, for Senate Bill 3107, the recommendation will be to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation for SB 3107 is to pass with amendments. Of the 5 members present, any with reservations, any in opposition? 5 ayes. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And our final measure today is Senate Bill 2149. So, the chair notes that HHFDC withdrew their testimony for this measure. And the chair further notes that the proposal was to use the rental housing revolving fund for 2 positions for a mortgage credit certificate program, as well as the mortgage programs at Miloli'i and one other location that HHFDC has been taking care of. And we were unsure as to why the rental housing revolving fund would be used for home ownership purposes, especially when the need for rental housing is so great in our community. And again, noting that HHFDC withdrew its testimony in support, the chair will be deferring this measure. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the agenda. There being no further business, this committee hearing is adjourned. Thank you.